Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's morning musings is No Limit, No Restrictions. I'm doing a series of daily morning musings, and I am using articles from my blog, Adventures in Density and Effort, as inspiration. Now, I wrote these articles a while back, so reality has changed a lot in the last few years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the article, and if something really stands out to me that needs updating, I will interrupt myself and give you the most recent information. And then at the end, I'll do a summary of what's changed in the world since then. And I'll also mention some specials that I have. So be sure to listen to the end and find out what those are. No limits, no restrictions. My focus recently is creating a 13-week experience. It's about living life with no limits and no restrictions. And at first I was going to play it safe and only offer it to a few people that I knew would be on the same wavelength. In talking with someone that's offering a similar experience, it became apparent that I was being way too limited in my thinking. So I emailed everyone on my local lists about that. And then I put posters up around town, which is a lot more publicity than I do for my classes. I also decided that people can bring anyone they like to sit in on the groups for one evening or more. No expectations to begin at the beginning and go through to the end. Even though the series does build, I feel that whoever comes in at any stage of the sessions will get exactly what they need to hear. It started me looking at how limited and restrictive I've been in other parts of my life. I've been living under the radar or playing it small most of the time, partly because I'm psychic and so naturally sensitive to energy, partly because my dad was a spy. Growing up, we were his cover, and it was dangerous to do anything to call attention to ourselves. As an adult, you couldn't excel at something without being attacked in some way by him. This influenced my relationship with God, universe, source, higher power, feeling that it was not something to trust or rely on, and definitely did not have my best interest at heart. I've called this my plexiglass wall, the invisible barrier to playing a bigger part in the world. Now, this says this world is a marvelous creation by an infinite being to convince it that it's the opposite of itself. And I see now that it's not something outside ourselves, it's us as our essence, as consciousness. So it's a marvelous creation by us as consciousness, not to convince us that it's the opposite of itself, but to create the illusion in the hologram that reality is the opposite of the expansive creation that we are. So part of the game is to reclaim power from the illusion of this being an unsafe world and that there is such a thing as an unsupportive God. As I've been stepping out from behind this plexiglass wall, all sorts of surprises have been happening. An unexpected number of people have been showing up at these meetings, and chance encounters and serendipitous situations have begun happening. You could interpret this as the universe giving you encouragement, validation, and that you're getting closer to the sunlight of the spirit. And I just see that you're dissolving the illusion of separation and getting in touch with the essence of who you really are, which is consciousness. What are your limits and restrictions that make up your plexiglass wall? What would it be like if it wasn't there? How would you feel? Who would you be without it? Imagine, and little by little, it will be so. And leave comments below because I love reading your comments. And it's interesting because we all have personal history that create limits and restrictions. And when we get in touch with ourselves as consciousness, we realize that reality really is unlimited. And part of the thing that's going on nowadays is this huge consciousness shift. And we have definitions of whatever it is that's going on. I'm about to give you mine. I see that we as consciousness are able to be in our physical form more. It used to be a much more limiting experience. Only 10% of ourselves could be in here. But there's been changes to our reality, an upgrade to our system, so that we as consciousness can experience more being in physical form. And so the limitations are giving away. I believe it really is possible to live life from the expanded self, as consciousness in this reality, even with the storyline presenting so much limitation, because then you don't find it limiting at all. You just find it a fun part of the game. So as I said before, go ahead and leave a comment below. And also below is a link to a free sample to one of my consciousness techniques. It's called the Skybox technique, and it'll help you shift your perspective to seeing your life from a much more expanded viewpoint. And if you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. I offer individual sessions where I can take a look at the essence sense of who you are and what's going on in your life today, where I can answer any questions that you might have. And then if you want to learn how to do this for yourself, go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and take a look at my coaching special. It's tailor-made just for you, where you meet with me one-on-one, and also I give you specific techniques that help you transform your life. So go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you tomorrow in another Morning Musings.